Hi all, welcome to Power Electronics and Instrumentation class. In this video, we are going to discuss the power BJT or power bipolar junction transistor. The working is similar to that of a normal transistor or BJT. A BJT is a three-layer two-junction. It can be NPN or a PNP, and the circuit symbol can be seen over here. The one on the left side represents the NPN structure and the one on the right side represents the PNP structure. You might be familiar that a transistor has three terminals, a base, emitter and collector, and the name bipolar is because there is a movement of both holes and electrons. NPN type transistors are most easy to manufacture and are also cheaper and are hence more commonly used. One important point to note is that the BJT is a current controlled device. Now, let's just see the structure of the power BJT. It is similar to that of a normal BJT, but you can see over here that the emitter consists of an N plus layer. That is a heavily doped N plus layer. The base consists of a normal P layer. And the collector, it consists of two layers. Both of them are N type, but at the base you have, that is at the bottom portion of the collector, you have a heavily doped region, and at the top you have a region which is lightly doped, or you have the N minus layer. You might be familiar with the N minus layer. It was understood that in the power diode, the N minus layer absorbs the depletion layer, and also it helps in the thickness of the N minus layer increases the breakdown voltage of the particular device. So it has the same function over here. Moving on to the steady state characteristics, you have three configurations in which you can use your transistor. You have the common emitter, common collector and common base. But the common emitter configuration is more commonly used. In the steady state characteristics you have, again it is subdivided into two. You have the input characteristics and the output characteristics. This is just a circuit diagram to show how the connections are made to find out the input and the output characteristics. Now, moving on to the input characteristics, it is a graph which is plotted between the base current and the voltage VBE or base emitter voltage. And you can see over here that for the same base emitter voltage, when the base current is decreased, when the base current is decreased, the collector emitter voltage will increase. You can just see over here. You can just see that over here. When the base current is reducing, the collector emitter voltage will increase. If you are going downwards, you can just notice this particular point. So this is the graph between the base current and the base emitter voltage. This is representing the input characteristics, and you can see that initially it is increasing exponentially and then the graph becomes almost linear. Moving on to the output characteristics. All of you might be familiar with the normal BJT characteristics. It is plotted between the collector current and the collector emitter voltage. Similar is the case over here. In the normal BJT, you have only three particular regions: the saturation region, active region and the cutoff region. But over here, we are having four regions. The cutoff region is as the usual cutoff region of the transistor. Active region is also the same. But the saturation layer or the saturation region of the characteristic is divided into two. You have the hard saturation and you also have the quasi-saturation. We can just briefly go through each of the particular regions. If your transistor is operating in the cutoff region, both of the junctions present in the transistor, that is the collector base junction as well as the base emitter junction, Both the junctions will be reverse biased and no current will be flowing through the base. But there will be a small reverse leakage current called ICEO. Okay, so there will be no base current. If I take the brush, the graph will not be clear, so I am not taking the brush over here. Now, moving on to the active region. In the active region, the base emitter junction is forward biased and the collector base junction is reverse biased. The collector current will increase slightly with an increase in the collector emitter voltage. So the active region is represented in this section over here. The BJT is usually operated as an amplifier in this particular active region. The next region that you have is the quasi-saturation region. During the quasi-saturation region, there will be a lower resistance compared to the active region, and hence the power loss will be low within the quasi-saturation region. This is due to the presence of the lightly doped drift region. And because of the low power loss, the device can turn off quickly and can be used for high frequency applications. Moving on to the hard saturation, you can see that the hard saturation is almost a very steep portion of the curve. By increasing the base current, the BJT will switch from the quasi-saturation to the hard saturation. The resistance is minimum in this particular hard saturation, the power loss is the least, and the device will act as a closed switch when it is operated in the hard saturation region. You have to note that in this region, both the junctions are forward biased. Both of the junctions are forward biased. Okay. Now, there are a few terms that we need to study. All of these points have already been discussed. There are a few points to study like secondary breakdown. The area of the region of secondary breakdown has been shown in the graph over here. You can just see that this line is representing the secondary breakdown. What is the secondary breakdown? It is actually a failure of the BJT. Usually, the power transistors having a large junction area, and during certain periods of current or voltage, current may circulate at certain points within the transistor base emitter junction. And when a current is flowing at only certain points, it is just circulating in certain points, there may be a chance for local heating to occur, and it may cause the damage of the particular transistor. So beyond the secondary breakdown, no conduction takes place for the transistor due to the destruction of the particular transistor. The next term that we need to study is the safe operating area. The safe operating area is defined as the maximum voltage and current that the power semiconductor can be operated in without occurring any failure. Okay, so that is the safe operating area. It is the maximum voltage and current that can be applied without any destruction of the particular power BJT. You are having the safe operating area for the forward biased as well as the reverse bias condition. Now, the safe operating area or the SOA graph is a plot which is a graph which is plotted with IC versus VCE. Now, the graph which is shown over here is the forward biased safe operating area. And if you are viewing the forward bias safe operating area, you can see that for the pulsed operation, you are having a greater area as compared to the DC operation. Usually, our Powertronics deals with pulsed operations, and therefore we get a higher value of current and voltage that the transistor can withstand. So, using these devices in the Powertronics applications is a very good, or it's a plus point for us. Moving on to the reverse bias safe operating area, you can see that the area is much larger compared to the forward biased safe operating area. If you saw over here, it was much lower. At a particular point, the current had started to reduce, but over here, for much of the portion, you are getting a constant amount of current. Next, we can move on to the switching characteristics of the power BJT. Now, the switching characteristics, before moving on to the characteristic, we can see that the normal forward biased PN junction, okay, it's not a transistor, the normal forward biased PN junction exhibits two parallel capacitance. Okay, so it has been marked over here. That is, you will be having a depletion layer capacitance as well as a diffusion capacitance. When the PN junction is reverse biased, there will only be a presence of a depletion capacitance. And you also have to note that during the steady state conditions, the capacitance do not have any role. The capacitance comes into view during the switching operation. Now, in this figure, you have the capacitors CCB and CBC, that is a CBE, that is the collector base capacitance and the base emitter capacitance. Now, due to the presence of these capacitors, the transistor will not turn on instantly. And you can see over here from this particular graph that the transistor will not turn on instantly. Okay, I'll just move my brush. The transistor will not turn on instantly. You can see over here that the base voltage has been increased from 0 to a value V1. And at that moment itself, the base current IB is also increasing correspondingly. But it can be seen that the collector current has not increased. The collector current is still remaining at 0. This is due to the presence of the internal capacitances and the time required for the capacitors to get charged. Only when the capacitors get charged will the collector current start to increase. And this time taken for the capacitors to get charged is called the delay time or TD. This is the time required for the internal capacitors to get charged. Now, after the time TD, the collector current starts to increase gradually, and you can see that once it reaches 90%, up to the 90% of the collector current, the current keeps on increasing, and then the collector current reaches a steady state value. Now, the time from 0.1 of the collector current to 90% of the collector current is called the rise time TR. And the rise time depends upon the time constant which is determined by the input capacitances. If the transistor is to be turned off, you have to apply a reverse voltage as well as a reverse base current. Now, the voltage will start to fall from V1 to minus V2. Also, during the same time, the current IB will also fall to a negative value. The current IB will also fall to a negative value. But you can see that there is no change in the collector current over here. You can see that there is no change during that time in the collector current. This is due to the presence of the stored charges within the particular transistor. Only on removal of the stored charges will the transistor begin to turn off. Now, a particular amount of time is required to remove these charges, and this time is called the storage time TS. The reverse current minus IB2 will help to discharge the base current and removes the extra charge from the base. If there was no reverse base current present, the saturating charge which has to be removed entirely by recombination and the storage time would be longer. Now, once the extra charge is removed, the base emitter junction capacitors charges to the input voltage, that is the negative voltage V2, and the base current gradually falls to 0. At this time, the transistor has been completely turned off, and the time required for the base current to fall to 0 or the collector current to fall from 90% of the value to 10% of the maximum value is called the fall time. And we can just see the equations given. All of these have already been discussed. You can see that the turn on time is the sum of TD and TR, that is the delay time and the rise time. Delay time was the time required for the capacitors to get charged, and the rise time was the time required for the collector current to increase from 10% of maximum value to 90% of the maximum value. And the turn off time is the sum of the storage time as well as the fall time. The storage time is the time required to remove the stored charges from the particular transistor, and the fall time is the time required for the collector current to go from 90% of the maximum value to 10% of the maximum value, or it is the time required for the base current to go from the minimum, that is minus IB2, to the 0 value. So these are the switching characteristics of the power BJT, and we had also discussed the static characteristics, which consists of the input cara and the output cara. I hope you all have understood the characteristics of the power BJT. Thank you.